white-red aggro deck, especially when his opponent's still at 20. Chris is going to be hard-pressed to have his creatures stay relevant against a sea of pack rats.
The VanMeter does have an Ajani Caller of the Pride that he can cast this turn. That's what he's going to do. He's going to get the Planeswalker into play. He's going to start with 4 counters. We'll see if he's going to put a 5th counter onto that and put a counter on the Imposing Sovereign, which he will. So Sovereign's going to become a 3-2. And he does have a Dried Militant to cast as well this turn. Last 2 cards in VanMeter's hand after the attack and after he deploys Dryad will be Boros, Charm, and Pacifism.
Yeah, Pacifism, a pretty decent card against Desecration Demons, less of a good card against pack rats. We'll see Brandon off the top of the deck draws a Thoughtseize. Remember, the remaining card in his hand is a Hero's Downfall. So he sees Boros Charm and Pacifism, almost certain to take Boros Charm. And he'll be able to downfall the Ajani if he just wants to continue attacking.
So, Thoughtseize, what do you select? You select Boros Charm.
Yeah, we do see in Brandon's hand, it looks like there is a Hero's Downfall, and actually a Blood Baron of his Scapa is also there with 4 lands.
That's going to be tough to beat.
That could be very good.
Looks like Pat Rat goes to the face. Now Hero's Downfall takes care of that. Okay.
Yep.
Well, it looks like the race is on.
The race is on. It favors Brandon here. Chris basically has no hand, and the only card he has is the Pacifism. He can use it. He may have to use it on a pack rat just to stay alive in the race.
That stinks, but
yeah,
I think he might have to do that too. Going to start by attacking for 5. I don't think VanMeter has much of a choice. So Smith's going to go down to 10. You've got CVM at 13. And are you going to cash in that Pacifism? Only other card in VanMeter's hand right now is a Plains.
All right, so we're going to see Pacifism placed on the original pack rat here. Chris VanMeter holds on to the last card in his hand. Danny passes back. Brandon is still a little behind in the race right now. But yeah, he draws Devour Flesh, so it's not the 5th land he wants for the Blood Baron. Where Chris can get this, he can get this race possibly, and that would be thanks to Imposing Sovereign, because Brandon will have trouble making enough blockers. I think Brandon realized that what he needs to do is just become completely defensive until Blood Baron hits the board.
Yep, just slow right on down until you can deploy the Baron, find the 5th land for that, and then VanMeter won't be able to attack anymore. I guess he'll get to attack for 1 turn, because Blood Baron's going to come into play tapped.
Right.
But past that, yeah, he can just slow way down. You see VanMeter has drawn an Imposing Sovereign for the turn to go along with a land.
And the thing is that VanMeter can't even attack very much, because when Brandon misses the land for Blood Baron, it means he draws a pack rat. So Brandon can make a team that's very good at blocking.
So Devour Flesh is going to be played here in response.
I'm surprised it was cast. I would have imagined that would have become a rat.
Me too. Me too. So that's going to take care of a Dried Militant. VanMeter will gain a little bit of life off of that. And that's going to be... You see, they're going to get everything up to speed. Militant says, that's gone too, and that's gone too, and so's that. And VanMeter, there goes your Boros Charm. So you see both players smiling here, make sure the board state and the graveyards are good to go. Looks like they are, and I don't think the VanMeter can afford to attack here with that Sovereign.
Yeah,
I don't think.
He still doesn't want to. I still think he doesn't want to trade it with the pack rat. Well, he's actually going to, it looks like. And maybe he just has to trade. You know, if there become too many pack rats on the board, then Chris really just is out. You know, can't do anything.
So VanMeter, you're going to take a draw step here. Dried Militant is the draw. He's going to attack. Devour Flesh is going to take care of that.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Brandon. I think this is one thing. Zvi Mashevitz, recently wrote an article on Star City, I believe, about how to correctly play pack rat.
Yeah, which is basically just activate it.
Which said, you know, when you have these 2 Devour Fleshes, you could be having 2 pack rats.
Yes. Just activate it, activate it, activate it. Here's a temple off of the top for VanMeter, but the Blood Baron has just shown up. He's got to put that Daring Skyjack onto the bottom. Smith is at 8, but he's going to be going back to 12 momentarily. As VanMeter's going to move down to 11 from the attack from the Blood Baron. We'll see if Smith has a follow-up play. That's 5 mana. That's
oh my!
It's another
play. That was a good one. Okay, so that's one of the situations where you don't want to make another pack rat. Actually.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you.
But the Blood Baron against the white deck, it tends to be a decent play.
I would say it's a powerful strategy, perhaps a winning strategy, as Chris VanMeter is going to concede that game. So Brandon Smith's going to even it up, and you know we see Turtenwald just a little bit earlier with the mono black strategy. You see Smith using the base black / white strategy. And one of the reasons for that is the power of Blood Baron Viscopa in the mono black and against the white Winnie aggro decks. And it almost feels like the splash is worth it sometimes because you just saw how once Blood Baron came down, the game just is over.
Right, and I think the white-black devotion deck does have extra edge against the aggro decks because of this. There was, I think, at the same time, there is a little bit of tension. Brandon doesn't seem to draw. So he's lost some of the card draw, I believe. Is it to be able to play the white? You know, what is it that he's losing in his opportunity?
Well, he's got 4 Underworld connections, just like Mono Black does. Has 4 Devour Flesh. He has a discard, and he has a discard in Thoughtseize. He has 2 Duress in his main deck, and then he has got 4 copies of Hero's Downfall, just like Mono Black does. Also has Pack Rat, has Demon. So what is he losing? He's losing Freakish Cure that turn 1 would have. He's losing Night Veil Spectre, which is a pretty big one. Losing Grey Merchant of Asphodel as well, and that's the other one. So I mean, it's kind of like losing something, but they're different cards, obviously, Grey Merchant and Blood Baron. They're both going to gain life. Blood Baron's going to put the brakes on attacks a lot of the time, and Grey Merchant's going to give your deck a lot of reach. So you're kind of trading off one card for the other, but at the same time, you're splashing Blood Baron, so maybe your mana gets a little bit worse.
Yeah, I mean, you do get, it's only slightly worse. The thing is that the mono black deck usually runs about 3 blue-black temples just for the free scry. So what you have to run white-black is you run a 4th temple. That's fine. You do have to downgrade swamps into godless shrines. So sometimes that'll deal 2 extra damage to you when you need it to, and he has to play 1 plains. So there's a little bit of a loss, but not too much of a loss in your mana base. It's about 5 to 6 lands become downgraded.
Quick update here for you guys really quickly on a non-camera feature match. Ben Stark, the current leader in the Player of the Year race, he took a loss this round, so he picks up a second loss, losing to Las Vegas local, so some of you Vegas people out there, or World of Warcraft players. Tim Rivera defeated Ben Stark this round, so congrats to Tim. Looks like he may be able to draw in next round. Stark does, again, pick up a second loss, eliminated from top 8 contention. And for you Christian Calcano fans out there, I know there are a lot of you, he's sitting at 19 points this round at X1-1. He did win this round, so his top 8 dreams are still alive, as he does pick up the win there over Robert Opdyke.
This is X1-1.
That's correct.
All right.
And we still have Jacob Wilson playing this round. We saw Turtenwald win already, and we're going to turn our attention back to VanMeter versus Smith here. White-red aggro versus white-black devotion. For VanMeter, he's got to get off to a fast start. He's got to end the game as fast as he possibly can.
Well, and it's because of how good Blood Baron is against him.
Yep.
Once a Blood Baron hits the table, Chris has a difficult time winning.
He's got some unique tools to be able to fight it off for one turn, you know, Brave the Elements, Imposing Sovereign already being in play. But he's really got to get the beatdowns going really quickly, because
Johnny
once you attack,
-3, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that'll work. But once Blood Baron actually attacks, you're probably dead.
Right, so you need a hand then that can Goldfish on turn 5, I would imagine.
Yeah. I think that's the plan, and Smith's sideboard doesn't make things any easier because he has 3 Life Pain Zombies. He's got a Doomblade. He's got 3 copies of Freakish Cure. He's got the 1 Shrivel as well. So he's going to make things really, really difficult on VanMeter in this matchup, because his sideboard cards are all great in this matchup.
Yeah, I think because white-red aggro, I think in the beginning of the season, we knew it was good, but it was considered kind of like this tier 1-5 or maybe tier 2 deck. It's gotten a lot more respect now, and now that we're starting to see cards like Shrivel show up in sideboards and lots of Freakish Cures, we're gonna get to really see just how good the white-red aggro deck is.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be put to the test. I know Stark again made top 4 last weekend in Dallas with the mono white splash black aggressive deck, splashing for Orzhov Charm, splashing for Profit Loss, and Zathra Necromancer. VanMeter knows that deck exists, but is going to stick with the red strategy, splashing for Boros Charm, Mysium Mortars, little Wear Tear action, Active Treason out of the sideboard as well.
Yeah, VanMeter did start out 7-0 today also, so played last round for top 8, was unsuccessful, but this is his 2nd try. What that probably means is if he wins here, he will he'll be a pretty big favorite to draw into top 8.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So VanMeter's going to keep, Smith's going to keep. He's going to start off with the Boros Elite.
All right, so he does have the 1-drop. The triple 1-drop hand is probably one of the best things he can do in this matchup, because outside of the 1 Shrivel in the board, white-black devotion has no true sweeper. So Chris, if he just overloads the board, he maybe can overload Brandon's removal.
Yeah, he's got to dodge the 1 of Shrivel at this point. It's part of the reason that Todd Anderson in Albuquerque played 3 copies of that card. Ooh, but he does not have, he's going to play Immutable. He does not have the 2nd white mana to deploy that Soldier of the Pantheon. Last Breath going to show up here for Smith off the top of the deck, so he can actually break up the battalion here that's going on. And if he's going to do it, ideally he's going to want to do it on his main phase, so he doesn't get blown out by Brave the Elements.
Yeah, well, what he can do is he can instead just last breath the Mutavault when
Also
Chris
true.
activates it. So then he's not targeting the white creature. And then he gets the Mutavault, which is something I think that's probably the prize in the first place.
Yeah. There's a Mutavault. Activate that. May I attack? And he says, hold on.
Hold on, before attacks.
Beep, beep,
before attacks.
Bag it up before battalion's on the stack. All right.
They haven't attacked yet. All right. He's going to last breath.
Yeah, he says, no, please no. You cannot attack me. All right. There's your last breath taking care of the Mutavault, just like you mentioned.
So Chris will go to 24, and now Brandon takes 2 instead of 6.
Yeah, that's a minor difference. Minor difference for the white weenie deck that doesn't have a ton of reach. There's a Soldier of the Pantheon, going to pass the turn back. So now Boros leads are on, and again, VanMeter trying to fade the Shrivel as there is a Temple.
Yeah, Brandon Smith looks like he has a lot of Devour Fleshes. Chris just has 2 more lands there, but they're both Temples, and because he has the Mutavault to attack with...
Oh!
Well,
the one of Shrivel does it again.
So good. So good.
Todd Anderson top deck a Shrivel to make the top 8 of Grand Prix Albuquerque, and now VanMeter loses his creatures to a Shrivel. Mutavault, all that can do is attack. VanMeter gonna play a Temple, Scry, leave it on top and pass the turn back.
I believe he has a Gideon, Champion of Justice on top of his deck. Now that is a card I have not seen in play for almost a year.
Here's a couple of pack rats here from Smith, but you can see just how crucial that Shrivel was for him. Turns the game around like crazy as VanMeter's going to draw a card for the turn.
All right, 2 pack rats for Brandon. And it's just going to have to be Gideon, right? If that is truly, yeah, and it's Gideon, Champion of Justice. So this is a new, a new 4-drop, I'd say, in the board. He is a really unique card. He is good against other creature decks for the most part. Basically, he just gets angrier the more creatures your opponent has, and as he gets angrier, he gets bigger. But you can't ignore him, because if he gets up to 15, he wins.
15 is quite the price to pay.
That's a really big number.
That is a lot. Almost an unreasonable amount of loyalty for an ultimate, I would say. Just my opinion, of course. But
15's a lot. 15's a lot. You have to plus him a few times.
Yeah, so many times. Let's see which direction Pack Rat's going to be going in. Is he going to ignore Gideon? Going to make a Pack Rat here to discard a Devour Flesh.
You got to be careful about ignoring Gideon. Yeah, he puts Gideon down to 1.
Make it so it won't have much of an impact on this game moving forward.
Yes. So now when Chris pluses Gideon, it'll plus up to 5. Remember, he plus 1s, and then he pluses 1 more for every other creature. So it is a +4 at the moment.
VanMeter going to play a Temple of Triumph. He has another land in his hand right now as well. So now he's got to try to fend off the Pack Rat army. Mizzing Mortars is a way for him to do that, assuming that he does have access to those. And he does have 2 in his sideboard. Gideon's going to tick up to 5, as you did mention. And now Mutavaults are going to kind of be on defense here. But you can just see how great that one of Shrivel was from Brandon Smith.
Well, yeah, I mean, these Pack Rats are very efficient. They're going to be able to take out the Gideon or eat all of Chris's lands. And I think they're just going at Chris now.
Yeah, it's time to start nibbling on VanMeter and his beard. I think that's the plan with these Pack Rats. Doesn't even care about Gideon at this point.
His beard has gotten quite long. That is very true.
So Pack Rats are going upstairs, and I think the reason for that is because Smith drew a Hero's Downfall, so he doesn't actually care about Gideon all that much. He can control it, but it actually is going to die. Okay, so we take it back. He did attack that to make sure that it did die, and now that problem's out of the way. He can take care of the rest of the problems now.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real sweeper for VanMeter, so these Pack Rats are just going to be trouble.
There's a Sacred Foundry. Here's a Banisher Priest.
Well, that'll take one of them. He's going to go ahead and get rid of the token Pack Rat so that it doesn't come back if Brandon kills it. Brandon should be pretty fine here. I imagine he'll just make more Pack Rats.
Yeah, if you can, you do.
So what do you think? He kill spells the Banisher Priest. I don't know. I almost just want to make another Pack Rat.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you where, he only has 5 mana, so he doesn't need to kill spell, but he does make a Pack Rat by discarding Hero's Downfall. But he did draw a land for the turn as well, so if he had held that ultimate price, he could just, make another Pack Rat this turn because he'd have another card in his hand. He could just, make more and more and more.
All right, so we see him making another Pack Rat, this one off that Swampy drawn. Still has 1 removal spell left. I believe it is the ultimate price.
Yeah, Zvimaushwich would be proud. Just keep pumping them out. They can't beat them.
Else.
Sacred Foundry in VanMeter's hand. He draws a Banisher Priest.
And that just won't do it. Banisher Priest, a good card in Limited. Pack Rat was a better one.
That's true. That's good. That's true. Banisher Priest, a good card in Constructed. Pack Rat
is
a better one. Yeah. And Chris is going to comb by that beard. He reaches for his graveyard here, and I think he's realizing, unfortunately, that after a 7-0 start, Loss is going to make
his top 32 for this tournament.
It's going to take his top 8 dreams away, and this isn't the first time that Pack Rat has taken away somebody's fun.
Yeah, I fully believe that, you know.
And there is the Banisher Priest to take down one Pack Rat. Banner of the Sacred Foundry going to pass the turn back. He's empty-handed.
We see the Devour Flesh in Brandon's hand, but this should be enough on this swing. He can go ahead and have 4 4/4s.
Yep. He says, get in there. He doesn't have to do anything but draw a card, attack with all 3 Pack Rats, and threaten to activate for the rest of the game.
Pack Ratting every turn is just such a powerful strategy. I mean, it's not that far off from Legacy Merfolk when you think about it.
No, it's not at all. I mean, people look at Legacy Merfolk as a Pack Rat deck. That's what people say a lot of the time, as VanMeter is going to activate Mutavault and try to get some blocks in here. And I think what VanMeter is trying to do is, in response, he's going to activate and Devour Flesh. I think what VanMeter is actually trying to do is he's trying to draw Mizium Mortars. Because if he peels Mizium Mortars this turn, he can actually kill everything, and then Smith will be out of cards.
All right, so he's playing to that out that he has. He does have 2 Mizium Mortars in the board. He's going to have to draw it this turn.
Yeah, he has no other turn to draw. It actually has to be this one.
Because next turn they're 5/5s, and then he's out of answers. So let's see. Hit the top of the deck. Do we get the Mizium Mortars?
Yeah, he's rubbing those hands together.
All right, here we
go.
So
it's definitely in his deck.
Yeah. Yeah, he's looking at the camera. Oh, no, we know.
He's like, I don't have much of a choice. Come on. Come on, sweetness. I need you now more than ever. It is a Plains, and that is going to be the hand. Brandon Smith defeats Chris VanMeter.